Well, it's a very good morning for some of you. It's a very good afternoon for some of you, and it's a very good evening for some of you. Welcome to the Coaching Cafe. My name is Natalie Ashdown, wherever you might be joining us around the world today or listening on your favorite streaming service. Today, we're talking about is employee engagement on the brink of collapse? And I'm joined, as always, by our resident HR specialist, Paula Jones Hunt. Welcome, Paula.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And we have people dialing in from all around the world. So we've got Tokyo, we've got Calgary, we've got New York City represented, Canada, down the road in Sydney, Beijing, India, Japan. Welcome to you all wherever you're listening to this. And a shout out to all the people who are downloading our podcast as well. Our numbers are going through the roof at the moment. It's very exciting. So thank you for joining us. So before we begin, as we always do, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners, the custodians on the lands on which we're all meeting today, and their continuing connection to the land, the waters, and the communities of Australia, and the lands from all around the world, wherever you might be joining us, either live on or your favourite streaming service. And we pay our respects to them, to elders past, present, and emerging, and Indigenous elders from all around the world. Well, let's get into our topic today. We've got lots to talk about, and really, we're going into performance conversation season here in Australia. If you are on the chat, you can interact with us and tell us what's happening in your area of the world as well. But we're heading into performance conversation season here in Australia. And with that in mind, we're going to start a new season of Coaching Cafes about how do we enable performance conversations using a coaching approach. But to kick that off, just newly released, it only dropped this week, we've got the Gallup State of the Global Workplace report for 2025, and that is our focus for today. And we're going to take a look at these headlines. Is the global workplace at breaking point? If you're a nerd like me, you would have been watching out for the global report to drop. And I'll talk about my reactions to it as we go along. But the click headline was pretty extreme, actually. Is our global workplace at a breaking point? We will discuss that today. And we want to discuss it in the context of engagement, which is our big questions that we'll be asking. So if you are new, welcome. We have some new people dialing in from around the world today. We are here to have thought-provoking conversations. We're here to build a community. We're here to share our ideas, stretch our coaching knowledge, skills, and our coaching mindsets. And if you are also collecting your ICFCCs, welcome. We have those available to you at the end of the session. Just stay on the line and take a screenshot at the end. Okay, let's get into our conversation. If you want to interact with us, please do. Just hit us up in the chat box, pop your messages in there, and we will collect those as we go along. Wonderful to see so many people on the line. Let's get into our conversation. So you can find the State of the Global Workplace report from Gallup. You can go to gallup.com, just type in State of the Global Workplace, and you will find the report there and you can download it. I was thinking about it this morning. I've been following the Gallup research for many, many years now, and they are globally one of the largest surveys on employee engagement, on the pulse of our global workplaces. And what I love about them is they also go into the detail of each country. So I'll be really looking at Australia's statistics today, but if you do download the report, you can go straight to the pages which are for your country. And yes, India, Japan, the USA, Canada, thinking about the people that we have represented on the line here today, all of those statistics, Southeast Asia, are all included in the report. So the big headline, let's talk about the big headlines. Are we on the brink of a global collapse in terms of engagement in the workplace? That's what we're thinking about. And the report says that last year, global employee engagement fell, costing the world economy $438 billion US dollars in terms of lost productivity. So the headlines are screaming and the numbers are huge. What their report is saying that the primary cause was a drop in manager engagement. And since the pandemic, managers have been asked to cover demands of executive demands, employee expectations, etc., and we're starting to see the toll. So I have to tell you, personally, we've been on a crusade at Open Door Coaching, trying to build employee engagement. It's what we do through our coaching skills. And so when I opened the report, I was hoping for better. Maybe it's the optimist in me just wishing that all the work we had done from a ripple effect had rippled out across the world. Well, I know that everybody on the line is making a difference, and we are making a difference. We still do have a long way to go, and that's what we want to talk about today, how we can shape engagement and the future of our workplaces. So, what caused the decline? It's manager engagement that actually caused the decline. It fell from 30% down to 27%. Individual contributions stayed flat. But I've got a graph here on the screen, and what it's showing is actually an increase in engagement since about 2015. Then we got a drop to about 20% around COVID and lockdowns, etc. But then over the last couple of years since COVID, we actually started to get that engagement back, which is interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of people are saying that people working from home, engagement's decreasing, etc. But basically, we did get a bit of an uplift off the back of COVID once we came out of those lockdowns in 2022 and 2023, but then a big decline, 2% decline in 2024. So Gallup are actually saying this is the first big drop actually for over 12 years. So only in 12 years has engagement dropped. And so that's where the headline's coming from. So, Paula, just your initial reactions. We'll get into the detail here, but your initial reactions were you're a bit of a nerd like me. You were probably opening the report, hoping for an increased engagement because all the work we do in coaching as an alumni and as coaches around the world, we're trying to build that engagement. So, to see a little drop there, was that a little bit of a heart drop for you as well?
Yeah, well, from a personal perspective, it always makes me feel sad when you look at a stat like that, it says there's a lot of people going to work who aren't engaged, who aren't happy, who aren't living their best life doing what they want to do, and that makes me really sad. I don't think I was surprised as much. I've seen lots of, particularly from a HR perspective, when you look at that manager engagement, I think if you looked at HR engagement, it has been taking a hit, I think, since COVID, very much so that the industry as a whole is struggling in the space. So I mean, yes, I would love to. I'd love to see engagement on a trajectory that goes off the scale, because then it means that overall we've got happy people going to work. But I don't think I was surprised.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, that's a really good point. For those of you that haven't seen the report before, we're talking about 21% engagement. We're talking about a decrease from 23% last year. And Paula, you're absolutely spot on. It means that only 1 in 5 people in our workplaces globally are totally engaged. They are coming to work, they're happy, they've got the means to do their work, and they're engaged in their work, which means there's a lot of people who are not. And organizations use these kind of benchmarks to go, well, our engagement is at this level. So we're above the global average, which is a good thing. And so the statistics are used in a lot of different ways. But when we look at the fact that globally only 20% are engaged, it really does make you wonder and make you feel a bit sad. I agree. So let's go to the Australian statistics. And as I mentioned, if you're in other parts of the world, you can easily and quickly go and find the statistics for your area. As a region, Australia, and I'm really rapt that they've actually isolated Australia and New Zealand, because in past reports we were under the banner of Oceania, so which included many other countries. So in terms of Australia engagement, our engagement is tracking at 23%, which is 2% above the global average. But, you know, it really stands out to me that 65% of people who answered the survey, and we're talking about thousands of people, said that they were not engaged in their work, and 12% actively engaged. So we've got a very large percentage of people within the Australian workforce who are not engaged in their work at all. Now, interestingly, the headline screamed, "Are we on the brink of collapse?" If you look at the Australian data, we are nudging up 1% per annum. So if we go back to 2018, we were 15, then it's 18, 19, 19, nudged up to 20 in 22, 22 in 2023, and 23% in 2024. And I calculated for us to get up to 70. It's going to take another 70 years, but we would hope that's not actually the case. So, yeah, Australian statistics haven't dropped like the global statistic. We're trending a little bit ahead, but I don't think it's anything to write home about, actually. And it's the next chart that particularly worries me. The next chart I'm actually showing is the historic drops in actually thriving and well-being. And here, Australia and New Zealand are not doing well. Back in 2011, the statistic of the percentage of people who were thriving in their roles, thriving in terms of their well-being, thriving in their roles, was 69%. Today, it's 56%. So it's a really dramatic drop over that period of time, a big drop actually from 2023 to 2024. In terms of comparing us to our United States and Canadian colleagues, United States has dropped from 60% down to 52%. So they are a little bit below Australia, but the drop in Australia is quite significant. So Paula, you've been delivering a lot of mental health first aid courses. You're really in this space, having a really good think. This thriving percentage is a concern to me. We want people to be thriving in our workplaces, and we're seeing this drop in Australian workplaces. So, what's your take on that?
I think it's not just the workplace. I think we have to look at it holistically. That says, what are all the impacts on people at the moment? So when you think about that, you go the cost of living. If we think about what's the cost of living? What can I buy with my money now that that I used to be able to buy more with before? I think spending overall has dropped because people are worried about what will this mean for the future. So that worry, and it is included in whether or not you're thriving. And then I think there's lots of, in the workplace, I feel like that there's less people doing more work. So you're having to work more, you take on more responsibilities, you're doing different things. And so then you are taking up time that you might have previously been spending at home with your family and friends, but you're spending it at work. And then when you do go home, are you disconnecting? Are you making sure that that you're eating well, that you're exercising, that you're doing all the things that contribute to really good health? So I think that's when we're thinking about that thriving piece, it is about how am I feeling? How am I feeling in regards to the relationships that are really important to me? How am I feeling when I go to work? What is my overall feeling? And so, yes, I think that drop from 2023 to 24 is quite significant.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I agree with you. And definition of thriving, thank you, Nicole. Yeah, it is having the ability, skills, and capability to be doing great work. So you've got the skills, the capability, the agency to be able to do that. Overall, you are feeling well, you're feeling healthy, mentally healthy, physically healthy as well. So all of those factors come into the thriving indicator. Yeah, so I have to, as I mentioned, share with you that I literally opened up the report hoping to see better numbers. And then as you go into the report, you're seeing numbers that are actually quite concerning in our workplace. The good news is we are, as an alumni, as a community, as a global coaching force, I suppose, in exactly the right spot we need to be in order to help globally turn around these statistics. And as far as I'm concerned, everything we can do to coach managers to coach their people make a difference. And let me show you the reason why. I've got some more statistics for you from the report. First of all, so let's talk about the good news now, because I don't want you all leaving the webinar completely worried and concerned. Let's talk about the good news here. The good news is that Gallup suggested that we ensure all managers receive training to cut extreme management disengagement in half. So they're suggesting that if we train more managers and particularly train them in coaching skills, we can actually cut the extreme management disengagement in half. Less than half of the world's managers, 44% in fact, say that they've received management training. There's so much more that we can do. It kind of makes me think, well, no wonder they're struggling if they haven't had training, if they haven't had uh, the skills and knowledge and the ability to self-reflect and build that self-awareness to actually manage the challenges that they're facing in the workplace, then no wonder. And of course, you know that we have our Certificate 4 in Workplace and Business Coaching and our diploma. That's not what we're here to talk about today, but we are here to talk about how do we as leaders, as coaches, as role models, enable our managers to be further trained. And that doesn't have to mean in the classroom. It could be on the job, through opportunities, etc. The other interesting statistic which came out of Gallup, straight out of the Gallup report, remembering that they have their strengths reports, etc., and they are very big into coaching as an organisation as well. They say that the other big thing is teach managers effective coaching techniques to boost the manager's performance by between 20 to 28%. They say that managers have a natural gift for inspiring and developing people. Many do, but some don't. So it's about working on that mindset to actually be focusing on how you're inspiring people, how you're developing people. And managers are the key, as we know. They're talking about that middle management layer, because if they're disengaged, then their staff become disengaged. So the more we can do to role model, to do anything we can to build their coaching effectiveness, to build their coaching techniques, an 8% uplift in performance. That is massive. And that's what we're aiming for throughout the work that we all do together. And the final thing is that there's an opportunity, significant opportunity, to increase manager well-being by 32% through ongoing management development. That's what they've actually estimated at Gallup. They say that when employers provide manager training, it improves managers' thriving levels from 28% to 30%, 34%. But here's the big thing. If people have been trained and someone out at work, so if they have training, so if your managers have training and someone at work actually actively encourages their development, management thriving increases a further 50%. These are massive numbers in terms of what we can do together as a global coaching industry to make real inroads here. And it might sound like I'm on my bandwagon. And for those people that know me, every now and again, I am on a bandwagon. I really want us to think about even more about how we can enable engagement, how we can enable people to thrive in the workplace. All the work that you do enables that. It's just that now we have got some even better statistics to back up the work we do. What we know is now evidenced with even better statistics. A 32% increase in well-being. Add that to add encouragement to that, as well as your training, a 50% increase in thriving. They're numbers I think we can all strive for. And it might sound like I'm telling everybody what they already know, but now we've got the data to back up what we already know. Okay, Paula, go and jump in. I can see you nodding and smiling there.
I guess there's a couple of things. I was recently running a program, and the comment I got from several senior managers was, I wish I had done this years ago. I wish I knew this and when I had started my leadership journey, because it would have made such a big difference. So introducing coaching into their toolkit would have made a really big impact from the beginning. And think of all the people that they've managed and led over the years and what impact that could have had on people. So I really love the statistics on the previous page that says if we invest in our managers in their actual development, it has a ripple effect going through the organization. And the other thing is, lots of engagement in organizations, there's lots of work. They do an engagement survey, and then it's all about, from a well-being perspective, we'll do morning teas, we'll put on pizza, we'll come up with really great, like we'll give people incentives for doing things. But what that statistic on your second one was said, if you actually invest in the development of people, it actually invests in their well-being, and so you get a double effect. So if people are thriving, they're more likely to be productive, and we lose less than we no longer wasting $438 billion in no productivity. So in that engagement piece, instead of focusing on the peripheral things, what if we focused on investing in people and helping them be the best in the role that they are, and then we would get an uplift across the board.
Yeah, look, there's no argument from me on that, Paula, and I think no argument from anyone. And it makes me wonder, like, what's it going to take to actually get that uplift, and how can we, even if we don't have budgets for training, and of course we're in the performance conversation budget cycle now, even if we don't have budgets for training, how can we role model this? How can we find ways to, as you many years ago said to me, every coaching question we ask counts. Do your coaching one coaching question at a time. So like you said, with those senior leaders, how can we get those tools into the hands of the right people, have them coaching one coaching question at a time, to get that uplift that we're actually looking for? So they're all great questions that we can think about, that we can take away as an alumni. We can think about the role that we're playing, and how we actually build that. And as I said, when we're talking about 23%, we're talking about 70. The 77% of the workforce that is not engaged. There's so many people that are going to work potentially unhappy, coming home potentially unhappy, and the impact that has on families and friends, etc., is quite significant. So anything we can do in this regards, I agree with you. So I'm open to other thoughts and comments you have, Paula, before we go. But I also want to flag with everyone what we're going to be taking a look over the next couple of weeks is the performance conversation season is actually a critical season. And if you're going into this season in your country, it's a really important time, because performance conversations and the annual reporting time really makes or breaks employee engagement as far as we're concerned. How managers do those conversations, how we enable a coaching approach to those conversations is really critical. So we wanted to kick off talking about engagement today, and then go into our next 3 or 4 webinars talking about performance conversations and how we can enable managers to do those better. We'll also be having Coach Week. International Coach Week is coming up in the next couple of weeks as well. So we'll be celebrating International Coach Week together as an alumni. Watch out for those events. But as I said, the next period that we're going into, I think, can potentially have a massive impact on engagement or cement the engagement, the negative engagement scores we've got. So it'll be really interesting to explore that together with you as well. Paula, just some final thoughts before we finish up.
Yeah, I think your mind for our managers going into performance review season, I think our mindset actually is the critical approach. It is a critical tipping point. If we go into this season going, oh God, we've got to do all those performance reviews and what a drag, then that's how it's going to feel. Whereas if we go into it thinking, how can we have an impact in this particular round? How do we have an impact? How can I have great conversations with my people that's actually going to connect in with them and think about their well-being and their and their development opportunities? And it just changes how you are approaching that performance review process. And so for us coaches as well, listening to our coachees, and they're going to start having these conversations, how we're thinking about that mindset, I think is really important.
Yes, absolutely, Paula. And I'm going to stop you right there because that is going to be the first topic that we actually discuss. So I don't want you to give it all away. Everyone's going to come back next week and hear about that as well. But absolutely. And the big questions you're asking are the questions we need to consider. How do employee and performance conversations enable or disable engagement in the workplace? And what has mindset got to do with that? So thank you very much. We'll definitely be looking at that. Well, there you are, everybody. Of course, we have our certificate for and workplace and business coaching, our diplomas as well, ICF level 1 and level 2 programs. There's lots of different things we're doing. So if you would like to engage with us over that, you can. So thank you to those of you that are new. We hope that you enjoyed our presentation today. We are back again next week, as I said, moving into that performance season. And to all our people listening online, thank you so much. It just really lifts our hearts when we see that so many people have engaged with us online as well. So thank you once again. As always, yeah, I'm not apologising if this sounded a bit, a bit. I just want these engagement scores to turn around. So, unashamedly, I'll just say, I hope it didn't sound too evangelistic, but I'm just so passionate about people, and as we are all here at Open Door about that. So, I'll say, go you good things. Go enjoy your coaching. Go continue to make a difference, and we'll come back and make a difference to performance conversations next week as well. Enjoy your coaching, everyone. We'll say goodbye for now.